What we did with the whole Iran thing was we co-signed on it, and then we took over the payments once we dropped them bombs. So that's why everybody was like, "Oh, dang," you know.
It's safe to say that the midterms are over.
Do you see some of the Republicans even pulling away like Marjorie Taylor Greene? Why does dude act like nobody wasn't shooting threes before Steph Curry came in the game?
But hold on.
Steph Curry came in the game.
Time out.
But is there a police report or a charge out there for him blowing up the car?
And then they only heard
so it's hearsay and speculation.
Exactly. And then they only heard
it's all about power, though.
They only heard about that part of it.
Diddy had power. All right, well, welcome back to the Black Summit. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Keanan. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Yeah.
It's good to have you on.
Yeah, it's definitely a pleasure. I love to participate in any type of podcast or anything going on, spreading some news, just to sit down and power it up and chat, especially with some brothers here. So I'm definitely glad to be here.
Absolutely. It's great to have you. So for the people who don't know who you are, who are you?
Well, I'm Keanan Nelson. I'm not from Charleston. People get a little sensitive about that, but I definitely had all my education, elementary, middle, and high school in the area. So I'm a South Carolinian, Charlestonian by cosigner,
Okay.
And I've been in the media business ever since I graduated, went to school, went to Trident Tech here. Been in the media business, and that's pretty much a nutshell of my life. Worked in local news media from here to San Antonio.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So
how did you get into the media business?
So I got into the media business. I was kind of unsure of what I wanted to do in life, just like everybody else, and I kind of came from, with the educational background, I started out of school with like a little bit of resources as far as helping you get to the next step, and a bunch of people telling you that you can do anything and everything, you know what I'm saying? But not telling you how to get on that path to try to do it. So it was kind of like a tornado, and the tornado finally let out when I graduated, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I've always liked media, and I've always liked radio, and I've always liked voiceover work. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to do voiceover work. So came to a little school, which is now a big school here in the Low Country, Trident Tech, and took their radio courses. And I was adamant about going to radio because that was the path to doing voiceover work and so forth. And then slid over into TV. And I think that was the best decision that I ever made, with just seeing how, where we are now.
Yeah.
TV is our cell phones now, so.
Right.
Yeah. You like TV better than doing news?
It's all the same thing. TV and news is the same thing. It's like if you're talking radio format, which is just an audio-based, theater of the mind. That's how you have to build radio, where TV is pretty much putting it here, spoon feeding you, set up your meal, and everything you got in your meal, you're ready to eat, and you can see everything that you have to eat. There's no surprises. It's just a wow factor to it. Yeah. So I definitely like TV better than I did radio, and I never thought that would be the case, but it was definitely a lucky move with the way that everything is going, multimedia, and where we're at, and like I never would have seen what this was and what it is now. Like working in news, we were the biggest cameras and the only cameras in town at that point. Besides people and family members with camcorders and different things like that. But as far as like professional stuff like that, you always look towards your people that were in production. But now production is your iPhone. What are we at? 1630 right now? What iPhone number are we on now?
16.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I knew you would know. You're a tech guy.
It's so attainable. It's very attainable now with media and things like that. Yeah,
it is, which is a good thing, because there's information out there, and I'm really loving this information age. And I mean, I'm loving this information age so much where, whether it's a small message or a large message with even you guys, you know what I'm saying? You guys are able to get a platform, and you're able to be that sprig, you know what I'm saying, that can catch on to the chain, you know what I'm saying, and create something, and create a scene, and create, news, information, and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah, it seems like podcasting is the wave now because they say radio is sort of dying
Well, I
out.
think podcasting is radio in
Yeah,
some
pretty
way, but
much.
it's just more of a direct type of format.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you find a topic, let's talk hair, let's talk cars, let's talk
Yeah.
whatever. You're able to get a specific target audience, and,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's key.
Yeah,
That's what's key.
Yeah, niche markets and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do. I totally agree. I was just telling Brooks the other day. Only thing he probably remembers, but I know you remember before you had podcasting. Remember you had blogging.
Yes.
I said that's all this is blogging now.
It's video
all it is. That's it.
video blogging, and
That's
I mean
all it
it's
is.
it's you know, and
Yeah.
and like I said earlier with the with cameras and stuff, now it's the video portion because
Exactly.
seeing is believing, you know?
Yep.
Like if I'm eating something good and I'm talking about it on a podcast, somebody wants to see. We need a camera shot of that so we can see what you're talking about.
Yep.
And it better look good, not like no mess.
Exactly.
You know?
Because remember in the earlier days, you would just type about it and put it out there and people would type in their responses.
Oh yeah.
Now it's totally different. Now we can just, like you said, we video it, we can talk about it, people can actually see it and respond back.
Oh yeah, all kind of ways. You know, they're gonna talk about you. Try to come up there with some raisins and that potato salad. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm talking about. People try to get slick, you know?
Yeah.
Some raisins in the potato salad, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about the war between Trump and Iran and Israel. Since the last time we did a podcast, it actually escalated quite a bit. Obviously, Trump attacked Iran and bombed their nuclear facilities. There was 3 of them that they ended up bombing. So we're going to be talking about that. Then we're going to be getting into the NBA Finals. We're going to be talking about the champions, OKC, finally winning. And then we're going to be talking about the Diddy case. And I'll have you read us a little excerpt from that link. And then we'll talk about that. And if we have time, we'll get into some other things like film production and what's going on in our industry, since we're in this industry.
Oh yeah, I'm long-winded, so let's jump on it and
yeah. So I'm gonna play this clip. This is from this morning because yesterday Trump actually said that there was a ceasefire between Israel and Iran.
Yeah, I saw that and I read that.
And obviously that didn't last very long. So this was his response to that today.
Don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous. We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. You understand that?
All right, so
he went off on that this morning.
Yeah,
he just went off on the king of words.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's really mad. I mean, I don't think we've seen that him be this mad.
I kind of agree with him on this. I kind of side with him on this, man. I mean, I was shocked for him to say he's actually mad at Israel because you inciting this. You already got beef with Gaza. Now you're going to start beef with Iran too on top of that because America got your back. I think that's why they're doing it. I post something on our Instagram. This one guy was saying, pretty much he was saying Israel is a rogue country because they can do what they want. And they know they have America in their back pocket.
Yeah,
but because we're their ally.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's what. And trust me, we one of the biggest ally. Apparently, we got the strongest military in the whole world, right? So usually nobody really want to go against America. So he was pretty much saying that America's in Israel back pocket. That's why they pretty much kind of do what they want to do. Because America pretty much won't chastise them, like we're just in their pocket. We cut them so much money, almost practically cut them a blank check every year to just do whatever.
Yeah, it's always the one hand scratching the other man's back. Like we all get something out of everything that we're doing, especially with like the oil and just the relations in the Middle East and the strategic points in case anything pops off in the Middle East. Like that's how it was easy for us to do what we did because of the way that our allies are set up. And you might know that being a military man, like why are we in this country? Why are we in this country? Oh, okay, this is where we sitting before we go over there to do our thing.
Yeah. But I honestly, I don't think it was smart that you mentioned that. I was reading about that too, which may cause the price of oil to go up like $75 and some odd cents a barrel.
I can't remember what that trading strait is called, but they're talking about closing that down.
And majority of the oil come from Iran.
Yeah.
So, and for you to do that, I think this could take a sit down. That's at least I think.
It's not going to be that simple.
No, it's not going to be that simple. But still, before you bomb.
Well, that's what was supposed to happen, and that's why that's why America is kind of split doing this decision right now, and some of the people in the Middle East are kind of split right now because it was supposed to be 2 weeks on Friday. We're going to see what's going to happen, and we're going to try to come to a diplomatic, resolution to what's going on in the Middle East, and then you wake up the next morning and we went in and bombed.
And it's chaos.
We went and bombed, you know? So, I mean...
Yeah.
From a humanitarian point of view, the 2 weeks would have been great, but from a military muscle and we need to make something happen and we need to make it happen. And the only way that you typically make things happen is when you catch somebody on their heels.
Yeah.
And so from a military aspect, was it the right thing to do? I'm kind of torn because we just have so many things going on here.
Yeah.
In
the
U.S. And then we get involved in so many other things and so many other people's conflicts. And it's not that we get involved in other people's conflicts. It's just the amount of customer service that we do behind it when we get involved.
So much interest.
And so much interest. And then when our nation has an issue, it's kind of put to the side or not tended to.
Exactly. I mean, being a president for anybody got to be so stressful because it's like you putting out fires other places all the time. And then when stuff happens overseas, dude, they blame our president. Why you let this war happen? Why you let this and that? Now, granted, I'm not saying that our president isn't at fault or anything, but it's just so much going on, like you said, and stuff going on here gets ignored because...
Well, what we did with the whole Iran thing was we co-signed on it as an ally, and then we took over the payments once we dropped them bombs. Yeah, so that's why everybody was like, "Oh, dang,"
Yeah.
It's like when you call your big cuz out, you be like, "Oh man, he ain't had to fight him like that." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like they ain't had to whip him like that. Right. So we came out with the big guns and did what we did. So now it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
I knew y'all was gonna do it, but I didn't know it was gonna be done like that.
Yeah. What you think?
Well, I mean, I think Trump has lost control. I think he's lost focus, and he's being pulled by these two, charismatic leaders, whatever you want to call them, like these leaders of these countries, Putin and Bibi. Netanyahu, and it's kind of a weird position to be in, and it's like we need to end all of these wars, right? Everybody knows that, right? And he keeps coming back to this thing of like, you kind of push through strength or whatever it's called. What does he say? He says peace through strength, and what he means by that is by like bombing people, that now we can have peace.
Hitting them first.
And even inside of his message, he talked about, now they need to come to the table and have peace now. And it's kind of a crazy way of thinking. And I think, he's trying to play from the same playbook during his first term. During his first term, some of this stuff would like work, right? A lot of people felt that way. because, even he bombed Iran the first time, and they didn't really do anything. And then like everybody kind of chilled out. But it's like you can't go by that same playbook now because the world has changed since then. And so, and I think he's seeing that right now. And I think, Israel really, their goal is to finish off Iran. Let's call it what it is. But, we can't do that.
Well, it's a fight. It's a fight for the king of the resources. And that's what it is. In resources equal money, and money equals progress in your country, and land, and all of that stuff like that. And this is, when you look at what's going on with us, for any empire, there's an empire, and an empire conquers. And what do? They absorb land.
Exactly.
They absorb land and they absorb resources, and I think that's what we're living in now in real time, and we don't realize the history that's being made as much because we're living it day by day.
Yeah.
But, give it 10, 20 years later, we'll be able to actually see what was happening, and I think as America, we're losing somewhat some footing because we're just not as organized as we used to be in the past. And, like we talk about the information age as well, like everybody everywhere is online, and they can see what's happening real time everywhere just like we can. Yeah. And I think that they can see that there's some problems in the family, shall I say. And typically those countries, since they haven't been the superpower like we've been in the past, they're the pros at playing the long game. So that's what we need to watch. What's going to happen in the long game.
And I think they are playing the long game because, a lot of these countries, once they have a ruler, he rules for a while. But we have a different ruler every 4 years, or the last 3 times it's been like that. And, the truth of the matter is that Trump really messed up when he pulled us out of the deal with Iran because, I think he didn't really understand what that deal was that Obama made back in the day, when he was president. Obama made a deal with Iran, and people looked at it as, oh, we gave them $200 billion or $200 million, whatever the number was. And it was like, no, we didn't just give them that money. It was an agreement that we would, give money that was taken from them during the Carter administration, and we would give that money back to them, and then they would in turn not try to create a nuclear weapon. And so that's what really happened. But he pulled us out of that deal because he was saying, oh, we're spending too much money, giving too much money to Iran. He didn't understand it clearly. And that's what happened. And now here we are. We have this war on our hand. And now they're like, oh, they may have a bomb, and they may have this, and they may have that. It's like they wouldn't have had a reason to have one if we had stayed in that deal. And so that's what happened.
Let me ask you, do you think that Iran had nuclear weapons?
I mean, I think they had reason to make one. And you better believe that this gives them another reason to do it. Because if America is stepping in on behalf of another country and bombing their facilities, there are 3 nuclear facilities, you have to, would clearly look at that and go, I'm just as a person. If somebody does something like that to you, I'm just saying.
What was it that they were refining in that? What was the
uranium?
Uranium.
Yeah.
That the issue with the uranium was they were talking about a power grid.
Exactly.
And being able to feed a power grid.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then what the rest of the world and stuff was saying was you have so much surplus and you're still enriching it.
Yeah.
So that was the fear of creating a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that it's when you talk about like nuclear weapons and stuff like that, and a lot of people forget that Ukraine was a big nuclear site. Yeah. And they gave all of their stuff away and quit all of their programs for protection from everyone. And then we see what's happening. So I don't know if that's like you're looking in that playbook from Iran's point of view.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll go ahead and get rid of this, but could the same thing happen to us that's happening with Ukraine.
And see, what he said earlier about is about the resources.
Yeah.
And see, and I said this on the TikTok, and I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on this. Since 1996, Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying almost 30 years, Iran is making nuclear weapons. They're going to attack Israel, and then they're going to attack America. Obama had the deal. Iran never attacked nobody. Now, the beef going on between Iran and Israel, of course, right? Whatever. But they never came. Nobody's attacking America. Nobody's not coming at America, right? He was saying this since 1996. And this is why I said I didn't think that they had nuclear weapons. Did they have the means to make it? Yes. But then they says you got to understand the protocol what comes into even creating a nuclear weapon. Just because you got that uranium, that's just the first start, right? Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has killed the Iranian nuclear scientists. He had them killed. He killed them just so they won't have potential to make a nuclear weapon. Right. So I think what you said with Putin and with Benjamin Netanyahu, notice all these wars going on with Trump, right? I think it's because how he had cozy up to them. And I think they can manipulate him. You know, I like I said, I'm going to stand on this. I think they kind of, we buddy. And, stroke his ego. And then we kind of get away with whatever we want to do, And I think Trump is getting frustrated by it, which he has every right to be. I feel his pain. Cursing. Exactly. I feel his pain.
Well, the thing that gets me was who was that left from Iran and the first place they went to was Moscow. Someone left out like right after they got bombed. They went straight to Moscow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've got to fact check that and look that up. But there was someone a key. Remember, and I'm like, okay, so you're going to Moscow, so what's all of that about? Did we get involved in something that's gonna leave blood on our hands for a long time? Or
we to piggyback off of what you're saying, if you've been watching a lot of our, enemies, whether they're economic enemies or actual enemies, have been coalescing together. They've been making deals together, behind the scenes, and a lot of this started under Biden's administration.
Yeah,
but it's a continuation of that even under Trump, and that's why I've been saying Trump is basically. I mean, he's a Biden 2.0.
Is it one of those things where sometimes the guys that are out there doing the most will get together. Mm-hmm. So they can make the most happen, if that makes any sense. So
exactly.
I remember Kim Jong was going to China on his train, and then him and Putin are meeting, and then Putin and China, all of these guys are having these back channels. What are they doing? What's happening, and what are we really co-signing to?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we're losing a lot of people, who used to be our allies. It's or people who were at least weren't as hostile.
And it definitely started with the tariffs.
Well, everybody got nervous. Everybody's very nervous on what's happening right now because it's a trickle down effect, and by default, where you got Germany and those countries, they're like, dang. He done did this, so if this escalates into a full war of some sort, now we're expected as France and Germany to come in to assist, to assist America.
And then use their resources on top of that. It's like when you have someone who's unstable running the country, who can't at least let's have a sit down first and see what we can figure out before we go fisticuff.
Well, it's more than the big deal. It's the history as well. Yeah. And you got to really concentrate on the history while you're making the deal. In this essence, this isn't buying a piece of land really quickly and developing it and making money. This is history that we've had. And when we looked at everything that got cleaned out, we lost a lot of people that had those historical relationships when a lot of jobs were getting cut and stuff like that, via it be economic, via it be intelligence or what have you, and if you talk to anybody, which I've done some police like types of stories with community redevelopment and different things like that. It's taken some of the older it's taken some of the older police that have established a relationship and trust with people in different sectors and different neighborhoods. Like, it can't happen overnight. You can't just jump in and over police because you throw a blanket over this, okay, the blanket's over it, but then something's gonna pop up here. Then something's gonna pop up here. It's like playing a game of whack-a-mole. But when you're able to get embedded in the community and have the knowledge that's why the community is running like it's running, and having the insight of how it's running and who's doing it, and the trust from those people to tell you, then you're able to put that flame out, even though it takes a amount of time.
Yeah, the relationships.
It's about the relationships.
Yeah, that infrastructure that was in place.
So, so we can do something quick and we can throw our hands up in the air, but
it doesn't necessarily get the results that you're looking for.
Remember the long game.
Exactly. Now people in New York is protesting. Nah, you saw that?
People in New York are
protesting about this whole.
Oh yeah, they're protesting in D.C. as well. Like DC, I had a friend call me up that day that works at one of the network stations in D.C. And he said earlier in the day, it was a Friday, people were excited and they were happy about a 2-week talk and trying to come to some type of resolution and stuff. And then once those bombs dropped, he said, hell broke loose. And he said the whole tone of everybody that was at all those rallies reassembling together, totally different tone. So...
Yeah, this presidency is becoming more and more chaotic, man.
And it's only been 5 months, y'all.
It's only been 5 months. Yeah. I mean, so we got a long way. We definitely got a long way to go.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one last thing about this. I think it's safe to say that the midterms are over. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I think the midterms. I mean, the Democrats have gotten it. Yeah, I mean, just based off the first 5 months.
Because you see some of the Republicans even pulling away, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, some of his own people
even
pulling away from him.
His loyal, most of his loyal people to his camp.
So,
and stuff. But the thing about it is, like looking at I'm not a super political type of person, but I can see the playbook out there. What are the Democrats doing?
Nothing.
Like, who is the superstar in the Democrat?
They don't have
in the Democratic Party.
AOC, come on.
Even when Kamala went down,
they won't let her.
It's like Kamala Harris did that run. She got a bunch of support or what have you, and then once the election was over, everything just died down.
Yep. And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna scramble to find somebody who can be that elite for them. I guarantee you a lot of people ain't going to be feeling this person. They will, this person is stronger. Why not use this person, But the Democrats will use someone who they feel they can control. They won't use someone who just...
What kind of candidate do you think the Democratic Party needs to succeed? And then we'll talk about NBA.
I think that we need another candidate that is able to push the 2% in all of us, you know what I'm saying? Like the 2% of giving in all of us to the masses, which makes the bundle is harder to break. You know what I'm saying? It puts us in that position, and I think that's what, no matter how you feel about Barack Obama's policies or what have you, what he did was he charged a large part of America with this hope and change. And with this hope and change, it was us as the people believing in our country, putting in just that little bit, whatever we had, whatever you could put into the offering plate. And that's what made the big difference, I think. And that's what I think that's what I think we need as a candidate that comes back through, that just gives us just that lift, because it's definitely a strong party and a very inclusive party with what, on the Democratic side.
Will you say the people who said Trump did that for his base?
What?
The same thing, give them that hope.
Well, he played on a whole different thing. We're in a very large baby boomer society, and with my age in this area, and just things that I remember, that kind of wasn't right where it was like racially or what have you, but didn't understand it because I was a kid, But the gravity of it is far more weighing now, like knowing what it was and so forth. And you have a large percentage of that population, like the baby boomers, that have certain beliefs and believe things should be a certain way.
They're
and
conservative.
So forth. And that's what he charged that group of people, and those are the people that are going to get out and vote, and those are the people that aren't affected by motor voter and license and voter cards and different things like that, and time and so forth.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to the NBA. OKC ended up winning the championships. Oklahoma City. They won the finals and beat Indiana. The final score to Game 7 was 103-91. Of course, we know that Halliburton went out with an Achilles injury inside of the game, and pretty much it was over after that. We know that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ended up winning MVP, and also he got regular season MVP, conference finals MVP.
Yeah, he did his thing.
Yeah.
He did his thing. And watching a bunch of the highlights, I definitely think that he deserves it. Like, just looking at the type of player he is. He's, like a lot of the commentators said, that they look for the best opportunity opposed to giving themselves that shine. Where they could take the shot, but they're going to throw it back and assist everybody on the team.
That's what
And when they said that and they start playing a bunch of the highlights, I was like, you know what?
Definitely unselfish.
They're definitely working as a team and working as a unit.
They are.
And they're a young team. And I think that they deserve that,
Yeah. Shai is definitely unselfish. Like Keanan said, all 5 of their hands touched the rock.
Yeah.
Everybody touched the rock.
Every time.
Everybody touched the rock. And on a fast break, all of them down the court. They had Caruso, all of them. And they sacrificing, playing hard till they getting fouled, getting knocked down. All 5 of them spreading, they spreading it up and down the court, man. So
So it was definitely a good series. It's just always crazy how these basketball series go. Like,
It was unexpected because nobody, Indiana and OKC, some people didn't like it. They wanted to see the Knicks and somebody.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I saw another young lady commentate, and I agree with her. He said, didn't y'all just say that y'all tired of seeing the same people over in Boston, Lakers, niggas, and now you got some new blood out there,
That's where it's going now. I think.
I
think it's going to be unpredictable in all of our major league sports. You don't quite have the powerhouses like you used to, where you used to say this team was a bad team and these teams were good teams. I think it's going to be any team can get beat at any time because of the type of players that they're getting.
And I think
that's definitely true
like
because this is the 7th time in a row that it's been a new champion.
That's good.
And I think that's also going to happen in college sports as well with that portal.
It
Because
opens
you're not able
to
stack players and keep players benched and keep players that should be playing off the court or off the field. So you're able to build your legacy. Now it's they can shuffle up like time for me to go.
But one thing about that portal though, man, the NIL deals, that's why a lot of people transfer.
Well, that's what
you add. Like I said, I follow the
it.
girls, and like Deja Kelly, for example, great player. She was at UNC. They said, "Damn, she going into the portal." I'm like, "Why she went into the portal?" She ended up at Oregon.
Yeah,
and UNC went a little bit further than Oregon did in the playoff. But I think it's that money. Like, like Fawali left South Carolina, and why she going to LSU? She's going to start. Guard, always got the highlight reel. And I think Don Staley was kind of saying it without saying it. Well, LSU did get a bigger NIL deal. So I think
and that's what happened to a family friend son of mine. He was playing in Carolina, Lyman, and his NIL deal was like $85,000. $85,000. You know, like $85,000 to like a 19
to a kid,
19-year-old,
right?
Just
what?
Yeah. And I won't even tell you how you're spending the money. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it was just coming in at a crazy rate. Everybody was eating, family members, all kind of stuff like that. He moved. He went to Tennessee this year for $200,000.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm like $200,000. Like I was like, because this was my first experience being able to not be in it because I'm not in the family, but just knowing someone who's related to someone where it's being pulled into my inner circle to see how it's working, and then it just still like baffles me that there's I'm like this much money to go
in
around
college. Now imagine some of these star athletes. As I know, we kind of getting off of NBA a little bit, but some of these star athletes in college, even the girls and the guys football. Like I'm a big Carolina Gamecocks fan. I think they offered Sellers. What's his name? The quarterback. Like $2 million. Sellers, like $2 million. I forgot his first name.
South Carolina's quarterback,
Black dude. Is it Lenoris Sellers?
Number 16.
The quarterback for South Carolina.
Yeah, he's a running quarterback.
He's a running quarterback. Okay. I think they offered him something like $2 million. Then they offered him another college, offered him like crazy $1 to leave to go to NIL, but his dad said, "Look, we come to play ball," so he stayed in Carolina. Yeah. Some of these people get NIL deals for like $2 million, 1.3. They making and they getting commercial.
So they're getting advertisements, endorsements, and stuff like that.
They going with a bag.
Like I always said that they should be compensated, but
you didn't think it was gonna be to this extreme, right?
Ooh. It's free agency.
Hey, bro. Hey, don't it make you want to go back to college and play some ball?
Shit, I might have some eligibility left.
I
might have a little eligibility left.
But I mean, like, there's more parity overall in sports, and I mean, even if you look at Indiana, the Pacers, they were kind of like a put together team. It wasn't like they were like like they had like a clear star, even though Halliburton, right? But a lot of people feel like Siakam is actually the person,
and that's what I thought,
the go-to guy.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think overall it's good for sports, but I mean, look at the ratings. The ratings for the NBA wasn't as good, this time for the finals. And
how was the women's though? How was the women's going? Because it seems like the women are becoming super popular right now.
The WNBA is killing the game right now in terms of ratings. But it is driven off of one person, Caitlin Clark. She actually went out for 2 weeks, and the ratings went down. The ticket sales went down, but when she came back, it went right back up. And so it's interesting.
You don't think it's Angel Reese had something to do with that too, as far as tickets?
No, because Angel Reese was still playing, and the ticket sales and the ratings went down.
Well, but put like this.
Yeah.
I know when I one time I didn't really watch WNBA like that.
I didn't at all either.
Now, if I look at the games, the stands is packed. Don't matter if Caitlin ain't playing, whoever team's playing is packed.
That's all female sports now.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the stands of all female sports, you're seeing a big surge in girl power.
Exactly.
And females have always supported each other since day one, and now that bag is coming.
It's
and they're getting it.
And I think it's good for them too, so they don't necessarily have to go overseas all the time.
Yeah,
in the off season, they have to go overseas to play.
Well, there's opportunity here.
Exactly, opportunity here, and they scrapping. Them girls fight. They literally fighting, throwing hands on the court too.
They're good games. They're good games. It's a lot of action.
Yeah, a lot of action.
The theater in it is like lovely.
You know what's crazy? I watched the girls. Every player's a fast break. I'm like, they constantly running. I mean, as fast as
they ain't playing no games.
They ain't playing no game. Everything is a fast. I'm like, dude, how you run up and down the court on a fast break every play?
I think a lot of people don't like the physicality of the women's game because, a lot of people feel like people are coming after Caitlin Clark.
For flopping?
And they are. A lot of people are, like, throwing her around and stuff like that, getting in her face. But, I mean, I like that kind of style of basketball because it's old school.
Well, that's what it is. When you out there as the best in anything, you can expect a double team. You can expect everything to be more aggressive, which I mean, it might not be the best thing for your career as far as longevity,
right,
with how hard you're playing, but you've become somebody that everyone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You become that token. You become that muscle, and other people now, you know, it's like boxing. You know, if even if you couldn't beat Mike Tyson, but you knocked him down 3 times. You get a lot of credit. You still get a lot of credit in the street. They were like, you know what I'm saying? This is the new thing. This is the up and coming right here.
Yeah. Right. Even if you land a few good shots on them to kind of make them think, you know what I'm saying? That's a victory.
Exactly. So that's what happens when you become a good player in any sport now.
And I mean, people are gonna say this is blasphemy, but I think she's already the GOAT of the WNBA. But you know, listen. I mean, when she steps onto the floor, there's another level of play, and you can see it around. You know, she's not really, because a lot of people like to compare her to Steph Curry, and some people are
she
saying
don't play
Jordan,
like Steph Curry.
She's super focused.
Who she really is, she's both. She's a Steph Curry and she's a Jordan. And when it comes to, and let me show you why. Because when it comes to the aura that Jordan had, the way that she was able to bring the game up, have the ticket sales go up, and all of these other things, she's a Jordan. And then when it comes to her shooting those threes, she's a Steph Curry. And so really, we've never really seen this before in basketball and in sports. This kind of athlete who's able to do all of these things put into one.
But she's able to do all those things, but you know what she doesn't have?
What's that?
A national championship.
Yeah,
like Reese.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's...
Yeah.
She's going to get one. She's probably going to get like 3 or 4.
Right now, she's bringing a limelight to the NBA, but by far, she's not the best player.
Yeah.
Of course, Asia Wilson is technically really should be the face of the WNBA, right?
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark, great player. Not taking nothing away from her. But someone on TikTok actually broke this down. Because I was thinking like you, oh, dude, she got the Steph. The man broke the game down. He said she is not Steph Curry. She is Trae Young's.
True.
When they put their games out, she played exactly like she was Trae. Steph Curry don't take a lot of 30-footer shots. He takes straight up threes, and his play is not designed to dribble and cross. He'd come down, say, I come down, I dish the ball to Keanan. Keanan act fake like he going in the paint, and I'm already lined up because they guard him, and he just dish it back to me, and he quick release. That's not Caitlin's
Okay, let me ask you a question.
That's not Caitlin Clark's game.
I hear what you're saying there, but would there be a Trae Young if there wasn't a Steph Curry?
Yes, I think.
No, there wouldn't. Stop.
Yes,
it.
they would be.
Please, nobody would be doing that. Yeah. No.
They would still be.
There had to be a Steph
you gotta
Curry
realize,
before there was a Trae Young.
No.
Yes, there was.
Hey, why does dude act like nobody wasn't shooting threes before Steph Curry came in the game?
But hold on.
Steph Curry came in the game.
Time out.
Come on, man, stop.
Before Curry, were people pulling up from half court and shooting 11, 12 threes a game? No. Come on now.
Steph Curry.
Come on now. Let's be honest.
How many times Steph Curry shoot from the paint in a game? He rarely does that. He don't do that like that.
He's always at 3-point range.
He's always at 3-point range.
Before Steph Curry was doing what he was doing, there was no player that played like Steph Curry, shooting all these threes. Let's be honest, y'all. Like,
okay,
come on now. We've been watching this game for long enough to know that there was no Steph Curry before Steph Curry. That's why we say he's Steph Curry.
Shooting threes. There wasn't players only relying on 3-point shots like a Steph Curry.
Yes.
Yeah, like Steph Curry is a 3-point machine.
He's just a straight at 3, and that would cause them to change the game. They want everybody to shoot threes all the time.
I'll give you that, Trae Young has taken that and made it his own. True, yeah. I'll give you that. But, there was no Trae Young if there wasn't a Steph Curry first. So that's the way I believe in that. But, yeah.
Did Trae Young inspire Steph Curry? Sure.
You mean
did Steph Curry inspire Trae Young? I'm sorry,
yeah.
But then who inspired Steph Curry? Somebody got to inspire somebody. Like I said, people been shooting. People were shooting threes way before. They just were only relying on 3-point shots.
I was watching Steph Curry when he was at Davidson, and I remember a game where they just didn't want him to score. So I think he literally scored like 0 points because he was that great, and they double teamed him until he couldn't score. Triple teamed him, shut him down completely. And I remember when it was time for the draft to come up, and me and my dad were looking at each other. We're like, dang, look at all these teams passing on Steph Curry. It was like 7 or 8 teams. I think he went like 8th or 9th in the draft, and it's like, you know, like people didn't believe in what he was doing, but we saw it from the beginning. We saw it in Davison.
Let me ask you.
So,
in Davison, was he still playing the same way as now?
Yes.
Shooting from
he was pulling up from half court.
I always thought that he was kind of small because I was working
yeah.
with a reporter that went to Davison. So that was she was an alumni of that school. And she was working, and she was so much on this. Steph Curry, you gotta check him out. You gotta check him out. I was like, this guy's kind of small, but I was like, you know, he's got a lot of fight and a lot of might in him, and so forth. And I'm definitely glad where he's made in his career. But I got some earlier glimpses, like you did too, because typically I wouldn't be watching a school like Davidson, you know?
Nobody really, to be honest with you.
You know?
Nobody really.
I think they went to like the Sweet 16 too, or something like that. They got far inside of the tournament.
And normally your smaller guys wasn't really going to penetrate as much. Only if they can, you know, shake somebody down or on a fast break. They're going to pull up from outside majority of the time.
Here's what I'll give y'all. Here's what I'll give your argument. His game evolved into what it is today, where he would run around. And
definitely.
He wasn't really doing that at the beginning. He was pulling up. He was making it shake and bake and shoot. You know, like that's what happened. You know, and then he evolved into what he is now, where he can just run around the court and doesn't have to be
NBA,
on the ball. So
that's
much.
why you recruit. Think about it. Everybody either left Golden State, rotate out, except Draymond Green and Steph Curry. They'll get rid of Draymond before they get rid of Steph, right?
Oh, yeah.
So any play you design, he is the pinnacle of that play. Everything is designed around him. Majority of the shots going to come through him, right? So the ball going to touch a few other hands, and then if they touch the other hand, it's for you to be a distraction and just to rock back to him so he can pull up a quick three. Most of the plays is of him. So, of course, it evolved to that by who's the coach? Kerr? Steve Kerr is their coach?
Yeah, Steve Kerr.
But then they say Steve Kerr wasn't the one. I think who Byron Scott put that team together initially.
Yeah.
But they say Steve Kerr came in late when they fired Byron Scott. And he get all the credit for that.
Yeah.
That's how it always happens.
All right, real quick, 30 seconds. What do you think of Kevin Durant going to the Houston Rockets? He got traded from his team to the Houston Rockets.
I mean, I don't know. It's to be seen. Kevin Durant is still a good player.
Yeah, I think he's a good player too. I think that it's kind of what you got to do now.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta take your good ones and just slide them different places to keep the game relevant. You know,
Where's Harden?
This
Harden's
is yet
not there
another
no more, right?
team that he's on though. It's kind of crazy. I don't know where. I can't keep up because these players are getting traded so many times.
Sometimes it takes a bunch of trades to get you where you need to be. And I mean, like with the dynamics of these teams changing so much, you know, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Probably,
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we sports fans, this is a business.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
they want to sell those. They want to get butts in the seats.
Exactly.
You know, so
if you can't get a championship, you at least want people to be. That's why they kept Carmelo in New York when he should have left. Because people would show up to see him play. Canelo never got a championship. He could have went to Houston. He could have went to Chicago.
Well, and that's what a lot of these guys want now. They want a championship.
They want championship.
Yeah, they want a championship.
Carmelo already had Carmelo already had the money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he should have chased the championship. So New York offered him that big bag, and then he stayed.
That's what it is. What's all the money without the ring?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So, hey, real quick, last question before we move on. Do you guys think the outcome would have been the same if Halliburton didn't get hurt?
No, it would have definitely been much closer. I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, this spread right here. I was like, this game would be so much tighter right now.
Yeah, but I think OKC would have won.
You just think would have still won?
I mean, listen. I mean, no offense to the Pacers, and I was going for them. The truth of the matter is the reason why they were even in this situation was because they had these players come off the bench and have like these crazy games that they never really do. And so when you're winning by chance like that,
Who you talking about? For Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana Pacers.
Hey, Halliburton was clutch for them, and
he was.
Yeah, that's
that's another thing.
Wow, he was.
I was thinking
them,
that it was going. I was thinking that OKC was still going to win it, but I was like, this is going to be one of those 1 point, 2 point.
Bruh, I know what you mean.
Squeak. They're going to squeak it by, and then you can see that just by the series. You know what I'm saying? Like we went 3-3, and now it's,
I didn't even know it was going to go 7, but then when they was going back and forth, and I would look in the fourth quarter, and it'd be like 92-92. I said, man, they almost so evenly matched. It's insane. I still was rooting for OKC a little bit, but I said, boy, I wouldn't be surprised if.
Well, even with a minute, and it was like a minute and 30 seconds left in it, and they were like 12 points down, or 10 points down. It was 10 or 12 points down. Mm-hmm. Then I was like, I see them coming back. I see, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see them boys coming back. I see the Pacers coming back. I see them coming back. I see them coming back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or squeezing the, closing the gap. And I think that Halliburton definitely would have made a difference in that whole,
would have made a difference
whole
too.
difference.
Because their momentum went down.
Maybe not get them over the hump, but definitely got it close.
But anything was possible, because if you notice, even Indiana, their momentum went down a little bit as their lead start dwindling.
Yeah.
Where the gap was getting wider, their momentum went down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Diddy updates.
Diddy, do it.
I'm going to play this clip, and then we'll talk about it.
We are in week 7 of the Combs trial, and it is brutally hot outside. But here's the latest. Here's what you need to know. Closing arguments could come Thursday of this week, which means the jury could start deliberating as early as Friday. A lot of what we're hearing today is some of the things that we've heard throughout this trial, if you've been following my updates, where there's documents and text messages that place Combs at the head, really, in terms of directing people to do different things for these alleged freak-offs. But the big story, I think, this week is the fact that the jury could possibly be deliberating on this case as early as Friday. We are in week 7.
Well, there you have it. It seems like everybody's getting into their closing arguments, and they could be deliberating on Friday. What are your thoughts, Keanan, on the whole entire trial, and do you think he's going to get off?
And do you agree with freak-offs?
So, I'm torn on this. Looking at how, being in media covering court cases and covering trials, they can always go either way, depending on your legal team and so forth. What scares me about, well, it doesn't scare me. What makes me really think about this case here, with his guilt or his innocence, is that what he's theoretically charged for, there's not a lot of weight on those charges, and those are the charges. Now, can we say that he's a bad guy because he was abused, Cassie and so forth? Yes, and that throws to public opinion and so forth, but he's not on trial for domestic violence.
Right.
So that's what puts me on the fence of how this whole thing is going. And remember, the defense just has to, the prosecution has to prove everything. The defense just has to throw a shadow of doubt, So he's definitely on the easier side of this. And throughout the course of this case, he's been offered several plea deals and so forth, and never decided to take them. So what is that motivation for going that route that he's gone? But can we say he's like a dirty guy or what have you, or a freak? There's a lot of people doing freaky stuff. We roll out of this building and we go 5 miles to the left, 6 miles to the right, and cut across. There's shops that support that type of behavior. We're gonna pass one either way we go. Not a shortage of baby oil and different things. That's being used. So
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say something.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Real quick. Did you guys see the pictures of the baby oil? How organized it was.
Well, when you look at that's I think that was because there was like coffee grounds and different things in there as well. Yeah, because it was like in a humidor. Are you talking about that picture?
I think
where
so.
It had like the little thermometer, like the temperature gauge on it.
Oh, so they want the baby oil at a certain room temp? I don't know if
I saw that one.
Well, it was inside that, but I think that they were transporting more than that. I think there might have been some narcotics and different things. Whenever you're adding,
when you're doing coffee grinds,
when you're doing coffee grinds and different things like that, I think that it was I think that was the case.
Okay,
you know,
gotcha.
Yeah,
this is the everything we need. Whenever they're doing their thing, case once you put the key in and pop it open, you know, it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
I feel that. 2 minutes ago.
It's still hard to say. It can go either way. Then if you do get sent, because with racketeering, all you gotta do is prove 2 things for us a racketeering, right? 2 out of the RICO. I'm sorry. With the RICO, all you gotta do is prove 2 things. Not a racketeering. I'm sorry, but out of RICO, all you gotta do is prove 2 things. But it's hard to prove. Look like they trying to go more so with the trafficking issue of it.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to go more so with that. I thought they would have leaned more so with the drugs. But at the same time though, he wasn't selling narcotics. It sounded like they were doing them. And like we were saying earlier on a previous podcast, that's 2 different charges for distributing and you using drugs. They're not going to charge you to see. Yeah, that's definitely not a RICO if you getting high off the supply. That's more RICO when you are distributing.
When you're selling it and when you're making money. There was no money.
There's no money because he had all the money up front.
There's no one saying that, hey, we bought this or that. Exactly. They just said that this was available whenever we went.
So, and I'm saying, man, I'm not saying he doesn't get off. I won't be surprised because initially R. Kelly got off, I think like twice till he came back a 3rd time, right? And they had evidence of what was taking place. They could visually see it. Yeah. So don't be surprised. Or I say if he do gets popped, he may not get the time people think he gonna get. He might plead something like, well, I need help. I need to be more into rehab than lock up.
And remember, the jurors have been making certain faces. There's been a couple of them that have been making faces.
What's that?
And like some of them have even like made it seem like they were on Diddy's side.
Plus, he was doing the same thing to them, and the judge chastised them for that too.
So,
because you saw the drawing, he's all like this and stuff.
It's a different society and different tolerance now. You know, if this was the early '80s where things were secret and about people's bedroom lives and so forth. I think that, it might be more of a home run for the prosecution, but, you'd be surprised looking at porn or what kind of things they got going on in their house, and it could be in them jurors,
and
too.
You know what? And that's what I want to,
them jurors might be some furries or whatever.
Too, with the SA, right? What they're trying to get him on, right? Mm-hmm. Which I'm not saying he didn't do it. Honestly, I didn't think that was constituted as SA. Mm-hmm. Sexual misconduct or whatever. But everybody was a willing participant. So, but I'm still saying no. So far that they testified, because they brought all the people that they organized.
The people that testified. But if you listen at something, and this hasn't made the official, you know what I'm saying, but just different stories from different people. You could have been kind of tricked into
true because with the drug paraphernalia. Yeah. But it sounds like all the escorts.
Well, they were claiming like the MDMA in liquid form, which absorbs quickly and can put you in a different state and different things like that. No different than when you hear people talking about, hey, we went to this club and someone dropped something in the drink and all of this crazy stuff happened. Exactly. Now with his level of finance and his operation, he could do that at a higher level.
And he was even high up on a lot of that stuff too all the time. And so, listen, I think they had more than enough, but I wanted them to bring more to the table, definitely. So I agree with you guys. I mean, listen, there was so much inside of the Little Rod case that wasn't really talked about.
But what he settled, right?
He did settle. But I mean, like, there were so many other things because Little Rod's case kind of opened this thing up. And I think it was either Little Rod's or Cassie's case where they even came up with the term freak-offs, right? And so I think, I think that Diddy's going down. This would be for him not to get, taken down. This would be on the level of like OJ at this point. You know what I mean? I think they have a good enough case. And with the RICO, like you said, you only have to prove two things. Mm-hmm. We already see with the racketeering, he was already doing that.
I see that.
Okay. And then, him taking these, escorts. To different states
across state lines and stuff like that. That's the people trafficking. But it
just gets him on a technicality, even if you say, hey, he wasn't doing traditional trafficking.
I think the trafficking though. As gentlemen, like when you talk about the trafficking and then you hear it's a sex worker, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I don't see that as like I don't see that as the same trafficking
it's not.
as us getting some people and we be like, okay, we setting you up at the Holiday Inn.
Right.
Yes.
You in this room, I'm in this room. You slide the money under the door.
Saying the same thing
slide the money under the door, and I'm coming through if something happens to you or whatever, because you're making this money.
Hey, I agree with you, but what does the law see that as?
True,
and that's where you go.
Could sex trafficking be considered if you tell your girl like, we're gonna have the best weekend of our life, and we ain't, you know what I'm saying? How people say, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm coming home from the army, and we going down to Florida, and we gonna do this and that, and we ain't even gonna leave a room or whatever, you know? And then you go there, and you're paying for everything that you're doing, you know?
Exactly.
And you give her an expensive gift, you know what I'm saying, or what have you. And then, now is that...
Far as the gray area with the law constitutes, they saying like that is like a form of
so it goes back. It goes back to the law, though. And, listen, I don't know to what extent he was doing a lot of these things that he was doing, right? Nobody really knows. We can speculate. We have some witnesses, but like when you think about all the things that he was doing and his past and what he has done before and how he skirted around the law and how he's suspected in other people's unalivings, we'll say. I think this is the guy. This is the guy.
You just want to see him go down?
So I don't want to see him go down, but at the same time, I just know because we kind of skirted around it for years. We made exceptions for him.
So if I take both of you fellas and I'll be like, hey man, I'm having a party down in Florida or what have you.
I know what you mean.
And I get both of y'all to come and you be like, I cannot go because, you know what I'm saying, dog, I got to be responsible, my rent's due and all of this stuff like that. Dude, you come down, I got $1,000, don't worry about your rent. Both of y'all come down for $1,000.
Yeah.
Are you now a sex worker? You know what I'm saying? And am I trafficking people
down? So
he
trafficked you. So he flew you out. He trafficked you.
Just because these people say it, they be like, well, she just...
Are you guys sure are you guys saying that that's what that was?
But the thing is...
More than likely, probably not.
But hold on.
No one has said that they were taken out of town out of their will. I think they looked at it as good vacations and I'm going to be making money.
Hey, but also, this is the thing. Okay. When you are a sex worker, right? Mm-hmm. And they either you can do local or they say, you can look up now girls on Instagram. If I got to fly out, it's this much.
Well, you can look at strippers.
That's different, yeah.
But that's the same thing with escort. That's the same thing with escort.
You can look at strippers. Strippers go from city to city. Town to town.
They know they coming out, and you were already escort, so you already know what they expect. Remember, Cassie was orchestrating some of these things.
Yeah.
Then I didn't even know. They said that after they broke up, she kind of still kept in touch with some of the sex workers. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I did not know that. I just recently heard that. If it's allegedly, let's just say allegedly, I heard that she was keeping in touch. I don't know to what extent or whatever she did, but.
You know, the one thing that I wish they would have shown during this whole trial, we saw the video of her getting stomped in the hallway.
Yeah.
If they had so much video from the hotel, why have we never seen the video of her leaving the hotel and what condition she was in? You know? Because she walked out with Diddy holding hands. Was she standoffish? Like, we never got to see the second part of that body language. The only thing we got to see was that part. Was the beating. Yeah. You know? And not taking any credit away from the beating or what have you. It's just one.
These women gonna hate you.
I know. No. And I'm not saying anything about that. And that is unwarranted 3,000%.
Right.
You know. But like, I wish we would have seen. Yeah, I wish we.
Well, here's the thing: we were never
more.
We weren't
supposed to see it.
Here goes the racketeering. But go ahead.
Yeah, not to discredit that whole thing. I just wish we could have seen more of what developed out of the whole thing. Did she come out with bandaged up, or did people go into the room where they were saying that he had, like a makeup artist?
Why did we see the video at all?
Because it was leaked from security.
Yeah. What happened was they were supposed to destroy the tape, but there was one guy who actually recorded it because he knew that nobody was going to see what happened to Cassie. And so he recorded it actually on his phone.
To show
and
his
sent
wife.
it in. Showed his wife, but he sent it in to CNN, telling them, hey, look, this is what happened. And we would never even have seen this thing because they destroyed the other copies.
No, and I'm glad we did.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but he held on that for a year. That was 2016.
Paid them over $100,000.
That didn't come out until after
put
Cassie's
that together, but
lawsuit. When Diddy tried to deny the whole thing.
No, I'm glad because this was the allegations and all of the things that people have been saying for years. So I'm glad that the video did come out.
And to you guys, don't get it twisted. Just because me and Keanan saying we don't know for sure if he going to get off or not. We're not saying that he's innocent.
Yeah, I'm not saying
so
that he's innocent.
So don't get it twisted. We're not saying that he's innocent.
I'm just saying how law works.
And how the defense is, how they can manipulate things. Is hell.
All they have to do is get one juror to
Look
say,
at it. OJ got off. And later on, you're like, OJ did it. You know what I'm saying? He got off. So
it just doesn't feel like it's been a strong enough. Like when we seen the tanks and all of that stuff going into his house and him getting locked up, the case that's been presented doesn't feel as equal as what we saw
with the raid.
Running through with the raid. And
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Why I'm on the fence of it. Now, if it would have been hard hitting the whole time from them,
that raid?
where he was just sinking down in his seat the whole time, I would be 100% certain.
What's hard hitting though? Like what should we have seen? Like
it just didn't feel like the prosecution was hammering things in. It felt like they were reaching. It felt like they were reaching a lot and trying to give more weight to some of the stuff that they found. Yeah, it's no different than if police stop you or they stop me. Right. And it's nothing, but you get to court and now they're talking about how. Oh, now the stench that was in your car was a big stench and overwhelming and different. It wasn't a case where I just felt like they were just stacking things to the point where, where when we watched like the OJ case, everybody was glued to it every single day. Yeah. With the P. Diddy case, I'm checking in on it because or waiting for.
It's not televised.
We kind of don't really want to know, do we?
Why is that? Yeah.
Are you guys want to know? Like,
yes, everybody wants to know what's going on.
I cringe and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all this stuff was going on when I hear some of this stuff. But I mean, like, to me, blowing up somebody's car allegedly is hard hitting. Okay, sending somebody to go blow up somebody's car is hard hitting.
But that's not what But that's not what he's charged for.
That's not what he's charged.
That's a part of the.
That's not what he's charged for.
No, he's not charged for that.
That's not what he's charged for.
I feel like that's a part of like some of his racketeering.
That's a part. That's showing his character.
Yeah, but I mean, like that. If you don't do what I told you to do, and then I'm gonna send my people to go take care of you.
Defense.
To
me, that sounds like a mafia-esque. And that's where the RICO came from.
You're right.
But is there a police report or a charge out there for him blowing up the car?
And then they only hear about that.
So it's hearsay and speculation.
Exactly. And then they only heard
it's all about power, though.
They only heard about that part of it.
Diddy had power.
They only heard about that part of it when Capricorn had testified.
Yeah.
That's the only time they heard about it. Then, of course, Kid Cudi came out to confirm. But that's not what he's on trial for. But then the defense also said, hey, we get it. He's a terrible dude. Yeah. Hey, if he can... If he was on trial for all the stuff, he's guilty. He'd been in jail, but that's not what he's on trial for.
It's a lot like these guys that you're seeing now that are being convicted of murder or they're a murder suspect because their wife has ended up missing. But then when you look at the whole case, oh, they were cheating the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things with Diddy. Well, just because they were cheating don't mean that they killed the wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a bad thing and it's immoral and it's something that shouldn't have happened or what have you. But I'm saying maybe they didn't kill him. You know what I'm saying? Or what have you. But it's making you believe that they did because of their behavior. And their behavior might not have anything to do with what the charge is.
And I think everybody want to see this, just like with the OJ trial. You remember the OJ trial? 2 people actually got killed, then they decapitated in the OJ trial. So this ain't even that with the Diddy trial. This is a bunch of freaky stuff and using drugs.
Honestly, I've been trying to stay away from it because it's hard to see another black man go down, especially somebody as successful as Diddy. And so that's where I'm coming at. That's what I mean by like I'm trying not to watch it. And I cringe at some of this stuff, but
I'm definitely waiting to see what the verdict is. What the verdict of this case is because, like I said, I am on the fence of not what I believe should happen, because I don't believe that any of those actions, should be tolerated. No means no, and no one should be coerced in anything. No one should be subject to physical abuse, mental abuse, none of that type of stuff. So that part of me definitely wants to see him go down because he's been a part of that. And
for sure.
and a part of pretty much our history in creating the sounds and the things that we like. He was a good chef in the kitchen for making what became a big part of our pop culture. But now that we see who was making the recipe, it definitely hurt your heart knowing that the people that paved that path for where music is today, that came under him, what they had to go through. To make that happen, or how they were done, and that's what hurts me there.
I feel that. But we gotta roll. But Keanan, it was great having you on.
No, thank you for having me.
We gotta bring you back.
Yeah, definitely. I'll come back.
It wasn't too painful, was it?
No, it was good. It was good. I loved the little studio and stuff like that.
This guy been trying to get you on for the longest. I think it was since last year. He was talking about
we worked together a lot.
So we were talking, and I was like, I need to be a guest on your podcast. He's like, okay, well, let's make it real. And I was like, oh, wait a minute now. Let me see what my schedule.
He said you kept moving the goalposts.
Yeah, I had to move the goalposts on him. I was like, this thing is real. This thing is real.
And much I've been on set, I've never been on set with you doing the audio or anything. I did a lot of commercials. Been on set.
Yeah, I'm out there, and I'm one of the only minorities in the state.
Trust me. If I saw it, I would know. Because first thing I do, I look around and see how many of us out there on set.
Yes, I'm like
am I lying?
Yeah,
you can count them, bro.
I'm like the unicorn.
Yes, you can count them. You can
on a lot of sets,
count them.
and so forth. So
it's getting better though.
It's definitely getting better.
It's like people I'm doing my own production.
People are trusting their work, and and that's what that's
my own thing.
There's a platform out there for all of us to be able to do, no matter who you are.
I just wish I could pay you
to put out.
You come up there and rock out with me, man.
It always comes, and hey, you know what I'm saying? A phone call, you know what I'm saying? You'll be just like Grandma say, you'll be surprised how the Lord works. Just give me a call. Just give me a call.
It's got to catch you when you're free, when you're in that mind space.
I don't mind helping people and as they say, throwing the rope back over, because I end up in a bunch of audio chat sites and so forth where people are talking and people are like, oh, why are these guys doing this and driving down the rate? Because nobody's giving them any opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And I've always believed in opportunity. And I don't know if he's seen it, but usually anybody that comes on set, if they got any questions, I'm always open to giving what type of knowledge that I have and any type of resource to try to help people get to the next level. Because like I said, crazy enough, some of the guys that I've hired in TV coming up have gone different routes. Yeah. And they were starting out, and just next week I'm working for a guy that I hired, coming straight out of school. So it all comes back around. You know
exactly.
So now he's hiring me.
Yep. Yeah, so, that's good, man. You don't hoard the information. I hate when people do that.
He's got me a couple jobs too.
There's no need in hoarding all of it. I mean, there's enough to go around for everybody.
Yeah.
And if we keep the ideas and stuff pumping, especially through the young minds, it creates even more opportunities.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
dude, I may definitely reach out, man. But
definitely.
Hey, one thing, at least I can feed you. You should leave with a full belly.
I love to eat now.
Oh, I got you. That's one thing I got. I got some food for you.
Oh yeah,
I got some food for you. I'm gonna have to hit you up. Come out a couple of days and bless us with that audio, man.
I'm gonna have to get some gaff tape over there on old Josiah.
Yeah.
He done seen my meal portions too many times. My set lunches.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I just copy you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Man. Well, once again, I'm Brooks.
I'm Hendrix.
And I'm Keanan Nelson.
And thanks for joining us.
And this has been the Black Summit.
See you next time.
We out.
Peace.